pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Now may I have approval of?
So moved.
Okay, motion been made by Gall. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Gerber, aye. Minutes. Anybody read the minutes over? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Now may I have approval of?
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Kaufman. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Kaufman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Gerber, aye. Payroll. Any questions on the payroll? And then they have
So moved.
Okay, the motion is made by Gall. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman.
John did actually.
Roll call. Kaufman.
John second.
What, John did? I didn't hear.
Okay, go ahead.
Roll call. Gall. Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Gerber, aye. Stanwood Drainage District. We need to go into that for a reason. I got something on the auditors from yesterday, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn to the Stanwood Drainage District.
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made by Kaufman. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Bell. Roll call. Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Okay, on the Stanwood Drainage District. Yesterday when the auditors were here, they brought a code with them, and it says that the payments cannot be in the excess of $5,000, the warrants. So, and Bev called the attorney for the district out there, and he said it's wrong and everything, so I don't know what you want to do. I can pass this around, you can look at it. But the auditors tell us that we cannot go over $5,000 per warrant. In other words, if they have a $50,000 bill, we'd have to issue 10 $5,000 warrants. And the bank's proposal at that time, you know, they wanted in $10,000 increments. But then the other day when we were talking, you know, they said, you know, they don't have to be in the exact amount. So I don't know if this is going to change things again or not.
So is Solutions saying that the $5,000 limit is with their software?
Not Solutions. This is our auditors.
This is the auditors that are saying
auditors. And then Carrie has checked with Solutions, and the program they have, it cost her $1,000. It cost the treasurer $1,000. Is a $400 a year maintenance fee on it, and that would all be borne by the Stanwood Drainage District. But that is supposed to take care of it.
And it will work then?
That's the way Carrie's talking.
Carrie said they did a test and it should work. But I don't know the size of the warrant issue, if that's... We need to find that out.
That has nothing to do with
It doesn't have anything to
Solutions.
do with Solutions, but we need to figure those two things out.
But our lawyer says it's okay. Is that because they think it's changed? They've increased it?
Yeah, that's what Hudson says.
He referenced a different code section.
He referenced a different code section, but the
So
code
they could-
section that the auditors that were here for 2 days the other day, yesterday when we zeroed them out, they said that, and we got a copy there of the code section, it went from 1,000 to 5,000 that you could issue the warrants for. Nothing over 5,000, not more than 5,000. You can make them for $4,999.99, but you can't go over $5,000.
This is in reference to monthly estimates. This is not in reference to payments for work done. This is estimates for work done.
What's that on? Is that
on what they provided to us? It says the engineer in charge of the work shall furnish the contractor a monthly statement estimating the amount of work done on each section in each county.
Is that? Are you reading the one from the auditors, or the which? Hold it up, once, John. See which one.
This one right here.
Yeah, that's the one from the auditors.
But it says monthly estimate payment. Does not say anything about actual warrant payment.
Can we ask our lawyer to call the auditor and they can talk it through? Sounds like he's got a point.
Well, the auditor's the one that brought that to our attention yesterday.
But the auditors are not lawyers.
Attorney Hudson, when I talked to him yesterday, said he would like to talk to the auditors.
I think we should put them together, and maybe he can show them where they're incorrect, if they're incorrect.
It's gonna cost you.
Yeah, I know.
We need to get it straightened out though too.
I don't know another way of.
Do you wanna have to give him the number to Hudson and have him call our auditing firm?
I think you should.
Have to.
What'd you say, John?
I think we have to.
Okay. Brad?
Yeah.
Don?
Yes.
Okay, so Bev, you wanna get a hold of Hudson? I mean, not right now, but,
Well,
you know, give him the number and have him call the auditing firm?
and also, I'll tell you, when he was on the phone with me yesterday, he said, I have to call you, I was gonna call you because Attorney Johnson needs some documentation. So I couldn't talk to him right then, and he was leaving. So he wants me to call him when I'm done in here this morning, so I don't know what documentation Johnson wants. But
Okay, so let them figure it out and get back to us on
okay,
that.
Hudson,
Okay?
I'll give him the number to call the auditors.
Is there any minutes, Bev?
You might wanna pass along that information, email that to him so he has it up front, so it doesn't take all the time searching
Say
through.
what now?
I would email him that information that the auditor gave us.
He doesn't really do email. Hudson,
He doesn't do email?
he said he does not prefer to do email.
Well, fax it to him then.
I can find it.
Because basically he needs that information, because I don't want him on the phone with the auditor researching the code.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
won't pay for that time.
Yeah.
I'll send the information to him somehow.
Thanks, Bill. I wasn't getting on your case.
No, that's okay. Because Carrie said to me, is he the one that doesn't like to do email? And I said, yeah. She wanted me to call him yesterday.
Okay, anything else for the Stanwood Drainage District then?
There are minutes going around here somewhere.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't have the minutes, I just have the stuff John had.
Maybe they're in here.
Oh, nope, here they are.
Is that?
No, the
No,
current
that's
one's
not
going
it.
around.
There's a separate
Okay,
thing.
this is from.
Those are prior ones.
Prior ones?
Carrie had me look up.
Everybody seen the minutes that went around?
Here they are.
So one from January 20th when we met with the attorney, or with the bankers back here and everything, and you know, we were talking about that, and the auditor was in here. Everybody checked them off, and any additions or corrections to it? Not may I have approval of?
Move the adoption of those.
Okay, the motion's been made by Kaufman, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Smith, roll call, Kaufman.
This is-
Aye.
Smith.
Yes.
Gallo.
Aye.
Gilbert, aye, so the minutes have been approved.
I'll take that so I can send it to the
Okay, are there any other things to bring up in the Stanwood Drainage District? There are none. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn from Stanwood Drainage District back to regular session.
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Smith, seconded by Hale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Stanwood Secondary Road, Rod bringing that in. Phone system, Carrie bringing that in. Plumbing issue, anything more on that, John?
No.
Courthouse office space, Brad, anything on that?
I checked with them the other day and they haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
Local option sales and service tax, and organizational study. Nothing on that. Okay, action on request by the recorder for a national deputy appointment. I would like to do more talking to Paul before we make that decision. That's my opinion. Does anybody else have an opinion on that?
I think we've had conflicting opinions on that. I think we need to have that clarified a little bit more before we make that decision.
Okay, and Paul will be here today, so we can visit with him then on it. So, John, you have anything on it?
No, just, that's fine.
Fred? Okay. Action on appointment to eminent domain commission under category of owners of town property. And Dawn has got a name, I think, for us now.
Yeah, Gene Schroeder, from Bennett. They live in Bennett proper, and I think that he would have some good input on that. understands business, that kind
So
of
you wanna
thing.
make that a motion then to?
I make a motion
appoint
that
Jim?
we approve Jean Schroeder for the eminent domain committee.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call. Smith.
Aye.
Gal.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
And Dearborn, aye, so. Tell Jeannie he gets that high-paying job. Jane.
I'm here to ask for final approval on, this is a position that we discussed last budget year when I met with the board, and it was approved to start in January. It's a coder and fiscal assistant in home health. I've taken it wrote the position description, submitted it to the compensation committee. They've approved it, assigned points to it, etc. And then the Board of Health has also reviewed it and supports it.
So we approved it and allowed you to put it in your budget?
Mm-hmm. But it's my understanding before a new position is hired, it needs to come back here.
And it's gonna work out, I mean, as far as what we budgeted and what was put through the compensation study committee, those all lined up?
With Carolyn not being here, I believe that we probably budgeted more for it than what it will be started at July 1st. But I'd like to go ahead and, if we are approved, start it at that rate that it'll turn to on July 1st instead of the one that we had budgeted, because it was a higher one, the one we budgeted. And the one that, it's the 14-18 on that pay range, I'd rather start it there.
So we had it budgeted at what?
I want to say maybe 18.
So we're gonna start them at 14.
Well, that would be my recommendation.
Well.
Yeah, because that's what he would be started at on July 1st anyway.
And this coder, from what the Board of Health was advised, was that, and Dr. Shutt was there also, that make sure that the codes get in there correctly so we get reimbursed by Medicare on that.
Yeah, well, reimbursed to the maximum that we can.
Right.
And also to prevent any overcoding, which can cause you big fines from Medicare, CMS.
How much time or stress will this take off of your current staff?
I wouldn't say, well, over what period of time? Over a week's time? Maybe an hour, if that. But the training that they have not had is an intense training in coding.
And it changes a lot.
And it changes, yes. And there also is kind of, and I don't want to say a conflict of interest, but when a nurse goes out and meets a patient and is trying to develop a relationship with the patient, sometimes they might have a tendency to code a little less than the more expensive. And I'd like to recoup all the funding that we can from our third-party reimbursers.
And this assistant shall also be the fiscal assistant.
Yes, yeah. We had found out that our current fiscal manager, she's oftentimes late in getting things out. Not that she wants to be, but because of the amount of billing that she does. And the amount of rebilling, I should say. A lot of rebilling. That.
And you post this local, so somebody already employed could apply for it first?
Mm-hmm. And is it okay if I just post it internally within the courthouse first, so I can save, hopefully, the money for putting it in the paper?
And what's the qualifications?
They have to have
that training?
Training. They have to have education in the coding system, and then there is a certification that they would need to have achieved, or will achieve, one of the two.
Are you
within a period.
at this as a promotion for one of the people already in your department, because that affects on advertising. If you're doing it as a promotion within your department, I think you can get by without doing the advertising.
It could be.
And then you would have to advertise that person's position.
Right.
Where the opening came in, you'd have to advertise that position.
Right.
But I think if it's considered a promotion within your department, you don't have to necessarily do that.
We do have a person who has achieved the education, will be taking the certification test. I forget when, but it's within a couple of months. But fiscally, this position is going to be started at the same rate, on the same pay grade as what our home care aides now are on. So it wouldn't be, what do I say? It'd be like a lateral move into a different position on the salary.
Until the 1st of July, then the salary would go up, right?
The coder, if I can start it at what that person would be earning the 1st of July, that's what I'm asking. Because we had budgeted more, so that what we'd start them at would be lower. And then the rest of the home care aides would hit that point, that 14-18, July 1st.
So they would get a bump on July 1st?
The home care aides?
No, the
Oh,
scholars.
no. Stay the same.
What's the coder start out at then?
14-18.
14-18. And what you're saying is that the home care
Aides.
workers would be up to that 14-18
Yeah,
1st
the
of
home
July.
care aides will bump up.
Okay. I thought it was going to be bumped up more than after the
So
first.
basically, your coder person's just getting their bump sooner. I mean, is all it is.
Right. Right.
I'm not sure how that, if we're trying to be consistent in our compensation package, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Because if we're bumping if we're giving everybody the COLA, well, actually we aren't this year, so that won't matter.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No COLA this year, next year will be COLA. Then the
That's what
following
you
year
voted
will
on.
be the step
Yep.
raise. And you've checked with Paul and everything on this anyhow, on the comp study, haven't you?
He's the one that, at the compensation committee, he was sitting there and participated in awarding the points for those criteria.
But he's all right at the 14, I mean, that's the number they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the board's wish?
And I do have position descriptions, if you want to see it. And I've also included the point system, the criteria. for
Can I get a
position.
copy of that?
It's yours.
Thanks.
I have one for everyone if they want one. John? Yes?
Do you need one?
Thank you.
You already have one.
Yep,
Oh, do you want to send one to Beth, maybe?
She said she didn't.
I don't think I need
okay.
it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve it then.
So moved.
Now, do you want her to, if you, in your motion, you want her to advertise the paper, or you want to just make a lateral promotion right now first?
I don't think you have to, do you?
The only time you'd have to is if you refilled that person's spot that lateraled over, then you have to advertise that spot.
I think
And-
that's a management thing that you can handle.
Okay.
So it's a motion to
Personally, but-
approve filling the position. Is that what your
Mhm.
motion?
Okay, the motion's been made by Gal. Is there a second that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Any more discussion? Roll call. Gal.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell. Kaufman.
Aye.
Gilbert Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Treasurer's coming at 9. So we got the treasurer's worksheet out.
free call. I don't know if I'll get out, so I can come up here.
That's it. 30 and 31st.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
While we're waiting for this, is there any committee reports? Dawn?
I went to Riverbend Transit and got to meet them. There were some very organized folks and run a pretty tight ship. They did lose one big client, which was the Davenport School District, which they took a pretty big hit a year ago. And they're just now realizing the financial issues along with that loss. It took a while for the payments to dry up. But they are accommodating that. They have gotten, I think they said, 2 new trucks just in the last month, or vans in the last month. And I really enjoyed meeting them. They do a great job, and I think they have great service, very organized. I also went to the Wilton Development Corp yesterday at noon, and they have some exciting things going on that they're still in negotiations on, and I'm not at liberty to disclose that.
Is that it?
Hmm?
Brad? Any committee
No.
reports? John?
No.
Jeff?
Community action.
The only thing I had was that we had the exit on the audit yesterday and sign off on all that, so all the things that we've been doing wrong come out of the audit, so. Under that Salem Drainage District, in the future, we could maybe appoint,
He does need to
Betty to
probably
that,
call Jones County.
conversations.
They've done it, they've discovered some issues. What happened?
Did we do that last time?
Yes,
I think
we
Yeah,
did.
the
Are you gonna be here
benefit-
when he-
yeah,
Sure.
we did both of them.
Well, the benefit, but that was to Carrie, wasn't it? We appointed
Terry
her.
did the right of way appraisals,
Okay,
and
you
he
did it.
just,
I don't
he did the
have
benefit
the
appraisals.
So it's
I have to
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
we call.
justify
Yeah,
every penny.
he's gonna meet with them
I have to do
this
this
year.
February.
When he was here for that bid meeting.
Oh, it ain't nothing. Put it together yourself. You have to spend, how many pennies you're spending on your salary, how many pennies are put. Huh?
Jeff, I think figured you'd be crying.
That goes to federal government.
What's that?
Examination.
Oh, yeah.
I also see the paper.
What's the easy
Ours.
What's the closed session?
Oh, yeah, they do that all the time.
Some counties hire someone to do it for them.
Oh, I don't know that.
We can do.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong.
Let's go.
Yeah, they do
No, I-
that,
so I gotta
and
do
they're
that
very,
first,
very
all
quick
that.
about it.
I may,
Sometimes I have
I'll
to eat
suggest
after.
something, but I may have to call you just to go over those things
No,
with
I
you.
have time.
Yeah.
No.
Call you too.
That's a county issue. Let's see, we have to start the discriminate
I'm
policy.
gonna take it on.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this on.
You ready?
It's tonight, I don't know.
And they're getting, just
I'm
kicking
going,
the
they've
can
asked me
down.
You playing or managing?
about how we're working.
It's gonna be.
I said I would.
Because all of a sudden guys are gonna come in and Bob's like,
Okay.
I'm gonna tell them, call us, give me do everything.
Is that good? Is that good enough?
First one.
Took the salaries that was presented to me by the auditor. I think that's deputies are 85%.
No change in deputy percentages?
No. Nothing on retirement payout. I don't know, nothing seems Postage went up a little bit, so it's an increase on that.
You increased postage, you said?
Well, I must have on the tax side, maybe.
I was gonna say, on motor vehicle they did increase, right?
Yeah, it's the same there. I raised it a little bit on the tax side coming up.
Okay. Okay, I see it there.
Page 3. Back up there to insurance. Deb Helmo goes off of the payout for her, so that's why that's quite a bit less. Everything else is, relatively a lot less on furniture and equipment because we had those desks in there last time and don't anticipate anything major like that. I think everything else is relatively about the same. Only increased 1.28, which I thought was not too shabby. Any questions?
And all the wages are in according to the comp study, what Carrie said,
Right. I guess I had a question in which I had said something to Carrie, and I never heard anything to the other, that the insurance did go down a little bit.
No, insurance went up a little bit.
1.6.
Not with the figures.
It's 1.65 up. Because you must have changed some plans or something.
Huh. I don't think so, but I'll have to double check on that. But I think everybody's the same on. Wait, I should have that here. No, it's all the same, I'm pretty sure.
Well, your retirement payout hasn't been there since 12/13, so it's actually in the insurance. Wouldn't it be?
Retirement payout.
What you're talking about, Deb going off.
Yeah, well, that's a separate line. That is a separate line item.
It's which line item are you looking at for her though?
Where's it at there? 113. First page. Halfway down. See, that's quite a bit less. But I'm just looking at everybody else. Our total on all our other insurances all went down. Well, the line right below it.
Right.
1% less.
Unless you had it figured wrong last year.
That's a possibility. I don't know. But I took the figures that Carrie gave us on the. And I said something to her. I says, would you double check those figures? Because the way I got it, that maybe John's right. Maybe I had it figured wrong last year. But
So by the sheet that went out, the insurance for a single was supposed to be $461.47.
correct?
And two-person is supposed to be $876.28.
That's what I got.
Family's supposed to be $1392.95.
That's what I got.
And the dental was the same, so.
Mm-hmm.
Them are the figures that were sent out, anyhow.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't, last year we kind of budgeted high and then we went down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we did it
maybe we
two
didn't get that
times.
same
Maybe
year.
I didn't get it adjusted. That's a possibility.
So you got it corrected this year.
I sure hope so.
Do you want to have Carrie double check that?
It wouldn't hurt. 'cause I mentioned it to her, I said, are you sure those figures are correct? And hearing nothing back, I assumed, oh, they must be, so.
Yeah, that was on
I can make a note.
December 29th is when
That
that
would
was
be
sent
good.
out, so that was
Yeah.
after
Check your health insurance.
he was here.
Yes.
But,
And I'll
unless
send
unless
her
I
some
just
other
plain figured it
emails.
wrong this time too, that's a possibility, but I think I got it right.
You're not anticipating any changes in your office or anything?
No. Joyce has requested a chance if she could go full-time. I said, well, I'll bring that up. I said, I suppose this would be the time to talk about it if we're going to do that. But the give and take on that was that they wanted driver's license open Friday, and everybody here does not want that, so kind of at a standstill.
But that time, if you wanted to open up on Friday, you could have a full-time person. If you just have it Monday through Thursday, you're supposed to have a part-time person, right?
Yeah, that's
And
what-
your office decided they wanted to go with Monday through Thursday, so.
Correct.
I see on the revenue side, you knocked back the driver's license piece a little bit. Is that because of the online ability to renew, or?
Well, that I
what's
think
the reason?
yeah, I think that plays into it. Boy, it's a hard one to predict. I think not only that, but and it won't so much affect this coming year, but with this variable renewal time for you. We're getting 5 years, 6 years. It's at the mercy of the computer type of thing. They don't want everybody having an 8-year one, you know what I mean? And then, boom, nobody showing up for the next couple of years in between. So they're doing it that way, I guess. At least that's what I was told.
It's bad enough with 6 to remember, you gotta renew it.
I got an 8-year one. Is it a kind of a random thing?
I think there's quite a few getting the 8-year one, so
Yeah.
I could see in between this time the revenue actually going down a little bit, plus the online and
And of course, the older people, we gotta pay it every 2 years, don't we?
yeah, you are locked in.
How are we coming on our mobile home taxes?
I haven't looked at that for a while. It was my memory tells me we had upwards of towards 50 of them on there, and it's down. I think it was down to like a dozen. Yeah, we get a slack time here this next month. I think I'll have to take a look at it, but I don't think it's ever going to. I don't think you're ever going to get her to zero. I'm sorry, but I thought that was a pretty good return on that.
Of course, you're gonna give us a report every fiscal year anyhow, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't that agreed on? You're gonna bring a report every fiscal year? In July?
A written report or a verbal?
Written, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I better look into that.
Am I not right?
No, I think that was kind of the agreement.
So, when we get ready to go to the paper, you want how many delinquent mobile homes are out there? It's in the paper. Mobile homes have their own nice little.
Yeah, I think you brought us, that one time when you had 50-something there, you brought us a report, written report.
Yeah.
And
And quite a few of them were these, oh, are they even there, and all that good stuff. And between the assessor and the county attorney's letter that he sent out, that brought that list down to, like I said, about a dozen. So
That's the one we're looking for. We're not necessarily looking for those that are delinquent
For
or
1
still
year.
living in them.
Okay.
Those that we know.
Okay, yeah, I can see if, like I said, this next month things slow down. We'll send something in here. Sound okay?
Cause I think we need to keep that in front of not only us, but the assessor, so that they can be looking at those.
Okay.
When they're out and about.
Sounds right. Anything else?
Any more questions for Gary? No more questions. Thank you, Gary.
Sure enough.
Thanks, Gary.
And you
Yes.
You and Terry are gonna figure out that insurance, make sure that's right.
Well, Bev's gonna say something to her?
I'm starting a list for Carrie, cause I have to tell her about some other stuff, so, as the day goes by, so I can let her know.
And John might have it right. He might go back to the last year's budget and maybe my figures, that's why it went down on this one, because those figures were not probably true.
Well, we were talking like 10% last year, then it was down to what, 4.5 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I could tell you what's on for Thursday, if you would like,
Tuesday.
or Tuesday, yes, thank you. The 27th. There's gonna be recommendations for the Veterans Grave Care Fund by Mr. Cochran.
I'll
Or the
bring the
board's
report
coming
from I'll bring the report from the Pioneer Cemetery.
Yes, and there's an appointment to the E911 board that I was asked to put on the agenda. For budget, then at 9 o'clock you have public health budget review. 9:45 is environmental and zoning budget. 10:15 secondary road, and that will go, he requested a couple hours, so that goes up to lunchtime. At 1 o'clock you have the auditor for the courthouse, non-departmental, district court, substance abuse, human resources budget. 2 o'clock recorder. At 2:30 I'll be doing the IT budget review, and at 3 o'clock there'll be the Veteran Affairs and General Assistance budgets. I gave you a letter from Solutions ahead of time, because it's quite lengthy. I stayed and read it last night, and I have some questions for Greg, so hopefully I'll get those answered before Tuesday.
Have you received any newer minutes from Veterans Affairs? I mean, the last one we got through here was the October minutes.
The other day, that one?
That one was October.
No, nothing since the ones that just went around.
Because they were gonna be the November minutes were gonna discuss the
Now, they just had a
wages.
meeting this week. They had a meeting Monday or Tuesday night, so maybe she'll have a report.
Well, we should have minutes from, I would have thought they had more than
Well,
an
yeah.
October meeting.
They meet every month. I think they do.
I think they do.
So more recent than October. Okay.
Because in October, they mentioned that they were gonna be discussing the wages and compensation committee, recommendations at the next meeting. We don't have those minutes.
Okay, I'll ask her.
We got 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah, Patty wants to talk to me, so, is that okay?
Yeah.
And I cancel everything for next Thursday, so you're good.
You what?
I'm available.
You are available.
Yep, I took care of it.
Okay, so we talking?
Well, we maybe have a special meeting next Thursday to go over all the budgets and, finalize them.
Oh.
So that Carrie can work on them.
So I'll just put a question mark there.
Yeah.
You'll let me know.
We'll let you know Tuesday. That way we can finalize up everything on Thursday. And then we can turn it over to Carrie so she can start working on it.
Would you like to go through these and see if you need any of these? I've got them all sorted.
You say you're gonna meet next Thursday?
Probably. Well, I can go check with Carrie and see if that's okay with her.
I'm gonna pause this.
So we can finalize it.
Come out of open. Yep, now.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Okay. You're up.
Okay.
I don't know if I've met everyone, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Linda Muller, Limestone Bluffs RC&D Director. I do have some handouts so that you can see some of the projects. If you take, there's 3 pages. One page shows the projects that Limestone Bluffs has done in Cedar County, and the other one shows, and this is just the most recent list, and then the other shows region-wide projects. We do have new funding for new projects. We have the through the Iowa League of RC&Ds. We've partnered with the Iowa League of RC&Ds, and we have a grant from USDA, our CDI program, which is the Rural Community Development Initiative. And so that we have funding for 2 years beginning August 2014 to develop regional cultural councils within our RC&D region. And that the purpose of that would be to provide training to each of the participating RC&Ds so that we can provide technical assistance on a variety of things for the different cultural organizations. And for that project, cultural was left broadly defined so that it can include anything food, history, arts related. And then we also have funding through our project with the University of Iowa through their Office of Outreach and Engagement, and that's a 3-year project funded, a 3-year funded project through beginning December of 2014. And for that, basically what the purpose is that the RC&D will work with the University of Iowa to help them with their outreach efforts to provide expertise and assistance to the communities of Iowa. And then one particular project that we plan to use that on is the RCDI project. So we'll use that as match for the RCDI project. We're still asking the counties for funding so that we can cover our administrative costs, because a lot of times the grant funding that we get is not something that we can use to cover administrative costs. It covers project costs. So we're hoping, we're planning that the project with the RCDI grant funding and the project with the University of Iowa funding, we will be able to identify additional projects to roll from that and apply for additional funding with that. So that's our intent to do with the current funding that we have and any county funding that we have.
What is our current contribution?
Last year was $5,000, I think. And we gave it, last year we gave $5,000 if all the other counties contributed.
Right.
And how many counties are in it now?
Well, still technically, I mean, we haven't voted to make any changes, but still technically it's 6 counties, including Dubuque, Delaware, Jones, Jackson, Clinton, and Cedar counties. And we thank you very much for that $5,000 contribution from the prior years. In the last year, Clinton and Dubuque counties did not participate. They're still officially in our region because we haven't made any changes yet. We're hoping that the traction that we've gotten in the last year and a half working with the University of Iowa and the Iowa League will get them back on board, and if not, I'm fairly certain that the RC&D board will make some actions. I mean, that's kind of been the discussion of late. So I have not met with Clinton and Dubuque County supervisors yet for this fiscal year, so I can't answer what their decision has been, but we are on their agenda. I believe it's next week and the following week for each of those 2 counties. The other 3 counties, Delaware, Jones, and Jackson, I've met with them, and I don't have any official word from them, but I feel like they're intending to be supportive again.
These projects here in Cedar County, 92, 93, 95, 2002, 7, and 8, were those that RC&D financed, or what did you do for these, like the Flora Hall restoration in 92? You know what they done for that?
Well, I wasn't directly involved with that, so I might defer to John since he's on the board and has more knowledge of things that happened before I came on board, but.
And some of those, and I gave mine away.
Here.
The Floor Hall restoration, I know we were heavily involved in getting grants and so forth when the building was just about ready to go down. Of course, our Cottonwood Timber Bridge, we helped in securing some grants for that and helped in that project. I don't know how many people even know where it's at on the board, but I know we had visited it before. Of course, the salt storage facility, same type of thing. We secured some large funding for that. And some of these we helped secure funding for, some that we helped with business plans.
What's Wyatt Woodworking?
It was, you remember?
Wyatt Beatty.
Yeah, Wyatt Gady.
How about Friends and Company? What was that?
Friends and Company was in Mechanicsville. It was a bar and grill, if I recall, and they did not make it. And actually, there's a couple here that, we have several that are not on here also. There's another restaurant we helped out with in Clarence that they had some personnel and administrative issues that they did not succeed, but we helped with that. We didn't lose any. That was actually USDA funding through the revolving loan fund. We didn't lose any money, of course, on those. And Place to Land, we still are behind on payments and so forth on that one, but those are kind of what we helped out with. The regional ones, there's a lot of regional stuff. We've had numerous businesses that we've assisted with the energy grants, our grant writing for energy grants, businesses and individuals on that with like grain drying facilities and so forth. I know even there's some businesses here in this town that we've done work for that are not on here.
How will the university, the last two in 2014, affect Cedar County?
Well, not specifically, but what we want to do is with that, we want to identify a variety of different things that we can do in relation to specifically to the RCDI grant, where we would provide assistance to art and cultural organizations. And so a couple of the places that we want to make sure that we include in that would be the film festival and the theater here in Tipton, the wineries and vineyards that are in Cedar County, and then some of the other things. Still part of the RCDI University of Iowa project would be also any of the historical societies and museums. We would want to make sure that we are working with them on those kinds of things. And then some of the other things that we've talked about are ways that we can include University of Iowa folks in soil and water quality projects. And we haven't identified exactly what those projects would be, because those are not going to be determined by the University of Iowa. They're going to provide their assistance. Will determine the soil and water quality projects within the region, and then see how the University of Iowa can add their
NRCS project.
And NRCS, right?
Or the local soil conservation board.
And to bring some of the new people up on the board here, previously this whole thing was funded by the federal government, RC&D.
Right.
And then the federal government pulled their money, so then they went back and asked all the counties to give $5,000. I think we've done it for what, 2 years, John?
Yes.
And both of the years we tied it to everybody else joining, and not everybody else has paid their dues. So to me, it's we were led down the river for a couple of years there on that, and I'm sorry, but we were given our funding subject to all the other counties given their funding also, which they did not. So.
Well, we were kind of shafted by the other counties too, Clinton and Dubuque. Clinton had made some, I don't know, some weak promises or whatever, and we had some our board member was very inactive and did a horrible job of attending meetings and being a participant and trash talked us behind our backs. And then Dubuque County, Dubuque County is just a different animal. So, you know, that's why our board has really seriously considered in getting rid of those 2 counties. We actually were forced to take on Dubuque County back when the federal government was still financing us. We were kind of forced to take them on. Now that the federal government's out of it, we're trying to shed off the dead weight and continue with those that are going to be participating and active.
Does the state contribute to this?
No.
No.
So literally it's just the county's contribution?
Right now it's county contributions and then whatever we're able to make. So also to just kind of give some history too, so in 2011 when the USDA funding got pulled, the RC&D went back just to that nonprofit status with no guaranteed funding, whatever they were able to come up with. And so we haven't taken any action on redefining our region in the last year and a half, primarily because it's only been the last year and a half that the board has brought back an executive director, myself. And so we haven't taken any action because what we were hoping for in the last year and a half while we were building our activities and building projects and getting funding and getting things going like we are just beginning to do now with the University of Iowa, we were hoping then that the two inactive counties or partially active counties, the Soil and Water Commissioners still participate. But what we were hoping for in that last year and a half is that would get them back in a more supportive role. The other thing that's happened in those 2 counties with the last election is there's new board members, and so we don't know whether or not that interest will change, whether or not their support will change. But like I said, John, if he wants to, can offer his opinion on this. But my feeling is that the RC&D board this year will make an action going forward based on whatever the county support is. I don't know what you think on that.
I think that's what's going to happen, and I think it's just going to be.
And I think our region will change based on the counties that are providing that activity and funding.
Because it's really not fair to those that are contributing.
I mean, we really feel like we're at a point now where we're going to be making more. We're going to be getting more for the county's money starting now. I mean, not that we weren't getting activity for the money, but we really are building to a point. We've built a foundation. We can move forward with a lot more confidence on the projects and really feel like we can begin to make a difference again, like the RC&D had been for a long time with the USDA funding. So the county funding has been really important to us, and we appreciate the counties that do participate and support us. And so that's why I really do think that if Dubuque and Clinton again do not support us financially, our region will change.
Well, my personal feeling, and this is just me talking, but to me it's kind of a duplication. We got ECIA and we got CEDCO, and every one of the communities in the county has got their own economic development. And basically that's what this is. I mean, CEDCO write grants and everything too, so, you know, why are we giving RC&D the money? Maybe we should be giving it to our communities or to CEDCO.
And if you look at the WERB grant that was, and I know that project didn't happen in Cedar County, but it sure could at some point, that WERB grant could not have gone through ECIA or a local economic development corporation.
And most of them won't touch museums or any
and it had to go through us.
Cultural things.
And ECIA were a little bit easier to work with than ECIA.
And I think that another distinction is that, you know, we are actively going out and finding projects and working on developing those partnerships, the unique partnerships with the University of Iowa. And that particular project also involves the Department of Cultural Affairs. And so we've got not just getting some funding and doing some projects, but we're actually building these partnerships like with the University of Iowa, the Department of Cultural Affairs, the Iowa League of RC&Ds, other RC&Ds within the state to develop projects out of those projects. So we're not looking at just individual projects and getting funding here and there. We're looking at how can we build this program to develop into all of these statewide relationships and then bring all of that value just back to our region. So I think there are some distinctions between the ECIA and the RC&D program.
Well, and ECIA is not focused on resource and conservation either.
Right, so we're not just economic development, we're also looking at conservation and how can we bring that conservation to our region with again, with different partners.
Like I said, that's my opinion.
Right.
Well, he's on the ECIA board too.
Oh, okay.
How's that, John?
I said you're on the ECIA board too.
No, I'm not.
Or have been.
I was. So were you, I think, John.
I've not been for a while, but yes,
Yeah,
I have been,
but-
and I've not thought that much of that organization.
Is I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
DAI, just out of curiosity, is that D for Dubuque or what?
No, it's Driftless Area Initiative. So it's the actual DAI right now is kind of in question as far as what they're going to do going forward. But basically, it's working towards developing those resources, conserving those resources within the driftless area. And so one of the things that came out of that, well, I believe that one of the things that came out of that was the definition of the viticulture area, and the RC&D was a key component in getting that viticulture area, that national viticulture area designation for the wineries and vineyards in our region.
Driftless area, what is that just a name for
It's a
Gotta go back to how the glaciers.
Yeah, it's a geological term for the
okay.
glaciers
Gotcha.
missing our area.
State, sections of 4 states: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois.
Yeah, so we're kind of on the south-ish border of the driftless area.
All right, got it.
Do you have a card?
Not on me, no.
Okay.
The other thing, one of the
Try to
other
get the
things that
information from John.
we've talked about doing is pulling, going in front of Scott County and Muscatine County, because their RCD is pretty much dissolved, and seeing if we can help in those areas, but didn't want to get too widespread and
Once we have more,
thinned out until we had.
Yeah, once we have more information on whether or not Dubuque and Clinton are going to be part of our region, we might look at expanding into Scott and Muscatine, getting their support. Any more questions for me?
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you again for your prior support and hopefully your continued support.
And Jackson County actually participated with $10,000 a year.
Right, and that's what they're voting on this year is $10,000.
Because they have kind of been a hub of more activities, so they
Felt like they got money's worth.
very
Thanks
supportive.
again.
Good.
Thank you. You want to take one, or you want to take 5, or what do you do? Ready for one? One's ready? Bring her on, Warren.
We'll see. Okay. What do you guys want to talk about? Really?
What are you gonna do first?
Hmm?
What are you gonna do first?
I might as well. The expenditures on the sheriff, the 01-1000.
Okay.
You know, really nothing unusual there. 5% for the wages. Of course, that's going to affect the 5% through the IPERS, FICA. For the deputies, actually, the health insurance, I refigured it by what each deputy is taking. And general fund actually went down 1%, 1.85%. The rural services went down 14%. Fuels, what I did there, the majority of that was being taken out of rural services. There's an equal number of gas. My gasoline comes out of the general fund too, so in reality there's 6 vehicles coming out of each rural services and general fund. So I divided that up equally. I lost track already. So oil changes, I divided that up more equally between the rural services and the general fund, but I didn't change the overall number. Tires, divided that up between rural services. Minor vehicle parts, just divided up between the two. Really, unless you have any questions, anything, it went down because I didn't have to put in $60,000 or $70-some thousand for computers. So, and the 5%, other than moving funds into rural services to equal out, there really wasn't a lot of change there. So, on page 5, which is our dispatch, apparently I miscalculated last year because we really didn't, I was under budget there, and I took the wages of 7 dispatchers and I come up with actually just a few dollars less than what I budgeted for last year, so I left that the same, which would make the FICA and IPERS the same.
How come FICA's up so much? 900%?
Let me see.
Take care of people like you.
Huh?
I said take care of people like you.
The sheriff's deputies don't pay them my eye. They have their own.
Yeah, it should not be 200 and it should be 21,000, not 211.
21,111 or 109, or what's it supposed to be? 21,109, same as last year, Warren?
Yeah, it should be the same as last year.
What line is that?
110.
110.
And it should be
Page 5.
21,109.
It's at 211,000 IPERS.
What's the typo?
Should be 21,109.
21,109.
IPER's the same. The employee health insurance took a jump just because people changed plans. Well, and there's an opening there, and so I don't know what that new person's going to come in, whether they're going to want a family plan or a single plan, so I figured.
That's a family.
Yeah. Same all the way down through to 428. This is what the 428 is what we use for when you're hiring. It's been $100. I've exceeded that this year. It's the progressive rehab, the pre-employment physicals and stuff. 446 took a major cut because we already have that equipment. Cuts all the way down through that. Overall in communications is 6.72. Well, it shows a 6.72 increase, but that would not be correct because there's $100,000 on the
6.27.
27.
What I got.
Huh? Yeah. Okay.
That total would be different. Okay.
Yeah. The adult corrections, we were a little bit over budget, so I accounted for that and the 5%. or I'm sorry, the 5% doesn't apply to them. That was their scheduled raises.
Step rate.
Yeah.
Comp study rates.
Yes. Health insurance is plus 2%. Safety equipment, I didn't write down here, but it's been $750. That went to $2,400. That's line item 293. A shock belt. It's basically an ankle collar that goes on somebody when you take them to court, and if they're a problem child, if they get out of hand, you just a button to control them, which may sound, it's a whole lot better than paying workman's comp for wrestling with somebody. Wearing apparel, an extra $1,000 there, because I like to have the people look good when they leave, go to court and go to other counties. Primary treatment, left that the same, and it actually shows we're a little over budget on that, but at the end of the year they recalculate how many inmates we actually had, so they cut us a check back at the end of the year, and we should get some back from them. Education, I added a little bit there just because it's costing more to send people to school, and there's more schooling they have to take. Food preparation, that's just the number, that's $472, that's just the number that they gave me that it's probably going to go up next year. Under administration, the wages, recalculated everything and it came out just under 5% increase, and that would probably because there's two people in administration, Tom and Vicky, who are union, so they operate off different pay scale.
Did you plug in everything from the comp study and so forth that Carrie gave you into the budget?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I operated off the numbers she gave me, so. Recalculation of NIFRS went down. Group health insurance went down. Stationery and forms, I've always budgeted around 7,000, but if you look at the history, in 2013-14, I used just under 3,000. Year before that, just over 6. So I cut that back to 4. And I think that's because there's more paperless now. Photographic supplies, we did cut that down, but now we're starting to, instead of buying film and stuff like that, we're buying memory cards. Legal notices, it's costing more to put ads in paper for help. That could be anything from sheriff sales to, which sheriff sales we get reimbursed for, but that has to go back into the, but just simple things like lost property. If you take something, you have to advertise it for X number of days. I didn't put it down on here. Line item 441, building maintenance and repair. The riding lawnmower we have out there, it's been out there since the building, so it's 14 years old. Cundy said he would take our old one on trade and get another new one for $4,800. So under 441, I need to put $5,000 in there.
More.
That makes it 10.
Is that a zero turn?
Yeah, total. License permits, salvage examinations, we get reimbursed for that.
Which one you on?
488.
Yep, on page 13. And the rural services, the animal shelter, I left the same. I did that Moxie, they came out and had their lighting technician do a survey, look it over to find out what it would cost to change everything to LED lights, and they said they'd have that information to me before this meeting, but I didn't get it. And I talked with Wayne a little bit about it. It's a $30,000 project. They said that it would cut 30% off of our lighting. Bulbs would last longer, and we've had some test lights out there. It's a better quality light, but it's really expensive. It is going to, it would pay for itself. That's something I'll take input from you folks if you want to spend $30,000 on converting everything to LED. There is some lighting out there that we really need to change to LED. There's I'm going to call them sodium, mercury, whatever the ones that you turn on and you can hear the power going through them, and it takes 5 minutes for them to light up. We have those in the units outside to light up the parking lots. Exercise, they don't last that long. They go through a lot of electricity, and then when the ballast goes out of them, it's $165 to have somebody come put a new ballast in. It sounds like that's just a $45 conversion, and then when the bulb burns out, we can get a ladder out and fix it. So just something I throw out there. If hopefully before the budget's all done, I'll have some concrete figures on the entire LED.
Do you have some money left in your building fund yet?
There is, yeah.
That really should be spent on the building rather than the interior.
I try not to spend any much as I have to on that, because I try to keep that back for the roof, that it is coming. I think there's like $150,000 in there, which isn't going to cover very much of that. Another thing that's going to come out of the building fund too, this summer we're going to take all the, if you're familiar with that, it's a flat roof with a membrane, and then there's a bunch of shale and rock and stuff. We're going to push that all to the north side, have them come in, reseal everything, check, and then push everything from the north side to the south and reseal everything again. That's going to be about a $10,000 project, but that's, I think that's a good expenditure for the local option sales tax money that is left over. So, any questions here?
Isn't there something about the warranty on that you're working with on also?
Warranty runs out this fiscal year, and we were trying to get a extended warranty, and they don't want any part of it. The people that have been taking care of the roof, they're not going to be taking care of the roof anymore. They had subcontract with West Branch roofers, and they did a really decent job. But yeah, we're going to be on our own.
What are we looking at to redo the roof?
600,000 ballpark. And it's not to that point yet. You know, I think, you know, when you're down there, you look at the tiles. We try to keep up with them. There's stains where they come, where it leaks through. You know, we've got all the major ones fixed. You know, it's little seepage now, but I've been down there during a rainstorm, and there's literally, it looks like somebody's up there with a big trash can dumping water into the jail. It's been that bad, but it won't be bad this year because we didn't have a bunch of snow and ice yet. But when you get ice jams and then it melts over here and then it can't get out, I'd be amazed if we get 10 years out of that roof altogether. Another 10 years. It's 15 years old now. And another thing, the units up on the roof, we've had to put a new, I think this is the second one, we've had to put a new heat exchanger in, and that's $5,000 a pop. A new unit is around 14,000, 15,000. There's 9 of them up there. So I've been told that we need to start getting on a rotation every year. Just take the oldest, worst unit, pull it off, and put a new one on. I kind of have problems dumping $14,000 on something that's still working, but
what happens if they all go at once?
All at once,
That's
yeah.
the problem you're gonna run into.
probably won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I have budget. That's revenue. Oh, yeah. Budget revenue for the department, and so this would be 0055. Does that make sense? Other counties, line item 2505, you know, I've got 15,000 in there. We've already surpassed that this year, but you know, it's conservative, but you don't know whether other counties are going to be bringing people in or not. $4,400 stayed the same. It's like got a change of $4,410. The weapons.
Sheriff's fees back up to that. You've been surpassing that.
Yeah.
Been pretty consistent.
Yeah. I can bump that up. You know, I try to be conservative on both sides, but I don't want to tell you I'm bringing money in, and then I'd rather bring more money in than I say I'm going to. I'd like to spend less money than I say I'm going to too. If you want me to change that, I will.
That just looks a little bit like you've 42 down to 41, and low one was 34. It looks like you're already at 38.
Yeah, we're already 97%.
Double that, maybe. Yeah, 38. But I think 30 would be more reasonable.
Okay.
You gonna go to 30 on that?
Really the only difference, you see the 4410 weapons permits to acquire, that's went way down because you can use the permit to carry as a permit to purchase, so they don't need to buy one. Fingerprinting, as you see, I budgeted 3 last year. I brought in 6 the year before that, 1,080. I left that at 4 because again, you don't know.
What's that on?
Fingerprinting.
4490.
Yeah.
I got 1,000 on my 4490.
No, the one below it.
Yeah, that's non-criminal up above the other one.
I got $400. that, right?
4490. I have $1,000. Yes.
Okay.
I was looking at the other 4490 fingerprints, non-criminal, public safety.
Going back on that one before this, on the permits, are they holding steady the permit right to carry, or the carry permits?
They've tapered off a little bit just because, you know, we're getting towards the end of the 5 years, but 2015, we should start seeing the first ones start to renew. So, and I have to admit, I have 2 of them that are 4490, fingerprinted non-criminal.
You have salvage examination and the other one I looked at.
Yeah. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't know fingerprint non-criminal salvage examination. No. $84.90. You know, last year I brought in $4,500, only budgeted $2. We've exceeded it. We've got $4,500 for this year. We've exceeded the $2,000, so I bumped that up to $4,000. The reserve officers, that's $33,001. You know, this is preliminary. They understand that if they don't bring this money in, they don't spend it. So. Reserve officers. Drug forfeiture. I budgeted what's in our account. We're not going to spend more than that, and if we bring more than that in, that would be great. Not going to count on it. Commissary, or I'm sorry, sheriff's room and board.
Do you have that one? I'm not finding it.
I didn't find that one either.
I don't think oh, I found it.
Yeah,
It's in there. It's just back a ways.
Expenditure room and board, 01000 01050, and that hasn't changed. Adult commissary. Now this is the money that we use to buy cameras, money generated by the inmates, but it has to be used for the safety and security of the inmates. This is $32,001,050. Nothing there that has changed. One of the projects we have there is the old commissary room, we're turning that into another holding cell.
Are you going to bring us in a report, time spent for the whole year in the county and in the communities, the deputies?
Yeah, Kevin's been taking care of that.
He's been doing it monthly, but he was going to do one for the whole year.
Yeah. Yep, I'll remind him. He's mentioned it to me. I know he's planning on doing it.
Okay.
Those have been very helpful.
It's pretty interesting information. I didn't really expect it to go that far. So.
This is the best your budget's looked for numerous years.
That was the best to look?
I said it's best it's looked for numerous years. Gone down about 232,000 net.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that 211,000 divided by FICA.
Yeah.
That's counting that in, that $190,000 mistake.
Yeah, and when I looked at that, I thought that the total budget should have gone down more than that. That was before we found that. Yeah.
So, I guess in respects to that, I guess I'd be for trying to recoup our money on energy by possibly looking at a light project. Because I don't know, I'm doing it in my home. It's not getting all done at once, but
Yeah.
I'm doing it as we go, and I don't know. I think that's stupid to put that kind of money back into, if you got a ballast going out on a light like that, it's stupid to put that back in and put the efficient one in instead.
Yep, and just the fact that if you need that light, you have to turn it on 5, 10, 15 minutes before you need it. And, well, everybody here has heard them when they go, there's...
So let's say, for instance, you did come up with a $30,000 figure. I don't know as though it's be necessary to throw that $30,000 at it this year, but I think over a couple of years, we should proceed with converting as things go bad, and maybe even as a plan. Because if you're converting, let's just take, for instance, this room. If you had to do two of these strings of lights, or 3 of these strings of lights, why not do all 3 of them and then complete that project in that room and move on to the next?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the type of thing you could probably do out there. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'll follow whatever direction I get here. I think it's worthwhile. It's kind of hard to choke 30,000 all at once, but they last longer.
It's a brighter light.
It is, and they're more efficient. You only need to run half as many of them, and these tubes are getting harder and harder to get rid of anyway.
And you said these new lights don't even have a ballast in them, do they?
No.
So there's no ballast to go bad, it's just strictly the light. But the bulbs, I'm sure, cost more than what you
They do,
got to
but they
before we
last
bought the
longer.
ballast. So.
We've got 2 of them out there now running. I didn't know it, but Tim said that the RF or some stuff frequency comes off. It could interfere with radios, and we've got one running in the radio room now, and then we'll move it out into the dispatch to make sure it's not going to cause any problems. But it's, I don't know what the exact number is right off the top of my head, $60,000-$70,000 a year we pay in utilities in that building out there. I've never seen a bill less than $3,000, and they get up to almost $7,000 at times. So I think we owe it to the taxpayer to find out a way to lower that, and if we can do it green, that's great too. So.
I think when we walked around, there's a lot of fixtures that had 5 lights, 3 lights, and his recommendation was to go to all 2 bulb.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big reduction how many, and it does brighten it up. The color of light he used was the sunlight to make it a calmer effect in the building.
Do you have any kind of a comprehensive plan or anything as far as all of these improvements so that we can start budgeting that in over the next how many years? Because you're going to have some big ones coming up between the roof and the air handlers and you might as well just start working it in because you know it's going to be coming.
Yeah, the roof, it's been, 4 or 5 years ago, we came up with the bid, the $600,000 number. The TMI, Total, they're the ones that handle our air handling. They're supposed to be getting me a list of, which ones are the ones we need to start doing first. I'm in the process of doing that. I'm just waiting on people to give me some numbers and where I need to start.
Because it looks like you kind of got a mushroom coming, like it's just all of a sudden gonna. I mean, hopefully we can take care of it. Like if you start working on the lights and start working on air handlers after that, and then the roof down the road. But it's a lot of expense coming up.
we spent a lot of money 2 years ago on software to better control the heating system, and now the TMI can actually remotely control. They can tell where our problem spots are. That's helping a lot. But you know, another this solar deal, I didn't get a chance to bring it up, but the south end of that building, the sun in the summertime hitting that south end, you can't keep that into the building cool, and actually the wall is hot to the touch on the inside from the sun. So something we're looking at now is putting solar panels on that wall, so that not only would it be generating electricity for us, but it's putting a shadow on that wall too. The heating system out there, I wasn't privy to all the information they had when they put it in, but
we had issues from day one.
It could work better.
With the contractors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned that
Train.
Okay.
That was train, wasn't it?
They use trained products, but I don't know if it was actually train that did it. Anyway, back to the budget. I know I mentioned that inspection that we're going to have to go through the federal inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what line item is that in there?
Yeah, he put that in here. It wasn't nearly as bad as what.
I know you said it's going to be 6,000 or 10,000 or something like that for us. But I didn't know what you stuck that into. Adult corrections or.
It is under adult corrections, and I want to say he put like $3,000 or $5,000. And he's also working on, since we have all these places that are going to need to be inspected, Priya. Education went up because of Priya. He's working on, it's under 638. He's got 5,000. 01050 638. Put 5,000 in there. He's working on, there's inspectors that are looking for places to come cut their teeth on.
Had 5,000
So
there.
we didn't have that in there.
Oh, okay.
5,000 you said?
Yeah. So we might get the first one for free, maybe.
Well, if you're gonna get those corrections done ASAP so we can get them back and the corrected ones.
5,000 for the lawnmower, 5,000 for Priya, and get the FICA straightened out.
190 on that, and we had revenue, that one line item on revenue.
Yeah, I got that down. All right.
I won't, you're gonna take it to Carrie, right? I'll cross that out.
Yep, I'll walk right over there.
Okay. Thank you, Warren.
Yep, thank you.
I guess I would just continue on that solar project, because I think that's something that we should do. It's not going to cost us money and save us money.
Yeah, I'll get you talking about the lights or the solar?
I'm talking about the solar, but I also think the lights, we should get that number and maybe do a split out between a couple of years or 3 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I think the solar, we need to continue on that path too.
Yeah, you know, I'm interested in it, and like I said, I've contacted four, and these were just the first ones. I've had 2 others come out and look the place over and supposed to be getting me numbers for 3 others.
Did you hear back from Eagle Point at all?
He came out and looked the facility over, looked at our power, our main box, and he's supposed to be getting me a bid, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Contact you back.
Yeah, not yet. All right.
Let's take 5 before we get Dauber.
Okay, I got it.
Got it. Everybody ready for Dauber?
Yeah. Ready as you're ready.
How you doing, Mike?
Can you text me a list of the attendees too?
Did you get another fire?
Hmm?
Did you get another fire?
No.
Morning.
Morning. Just trying to do the best.
Crime Stoppers. You want me to go over everything? Is that what you want?
Mainly the increases, I would say. Or decreases.
Yeah, there's a few decreases.
Is there?
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. I'll go over the big one right off the bat. I guess that. Yeah. Our first line item is my salary. With the comp study, I used Paul's figures, I guess, to increase to what I was supposed to. So, we're not getting a new boat or anything, John. But so that's the first three. Basically, is my salary, my FICA, my IPERS. The next one is my insurance. That next line item, that $1,000, is for the Conservation Board if any of my members want to go to any of the annual conferences. Stationery and forms, I lowered that one down.
Do you know why your insurance went down?
Last year,
figured.
Well, last year we didn't have the exact figures at the time when we did them. So basically, the numbers I used, the numbers that I used for my budget was
wrong last year.
Yeah, and they actually went down. They were actually lower than what I had put in. So that's why it went down. That next line item, I zeroed out. The next one, the $125. That one comes out of that's Sarah's fund. Basically, she can buy any environmental ed books that she needs or any materials that she needs for programs. Next two are zeroed out. Safety protection, that's also Sarah's. If she buys any safety items for any of our programs, I left that at $200. Wearing apparel, that's all three of our. We provide uniforms for all three of us.
Going back to that safety protection, you say you left it at 200. There was nothing budgeted last year.
There should have been. I've always had 200 in there, so.
Nothing for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've always budgeted. My other sheets that I had always showed that I had 200 in there, so.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, it might have been taken off some other line item or something too.
Okay. I have to look at that. I guess my cheat sheet that I used for get here, I had 200 in there, so that's why I left it at 200, I guess. So, the next two are nothing. Typing and binding, we use that for like park brochures and stuff. Left that at 300. Postage, I lowered down to 150. Employee mileage and stuff left at 1,000, or dropped it down to 1,000. The next one, I raised the phone, partially due to with this whole computer stuff that we're going to have to do for law enforcement. I'm going to need hotspots to actually use, like what Warren's doing. So, yeah, it's part of doing business, I guess. So with the increase there, and then so that's where that basically the increase comes from using that. So board member mileage, I left at 900. The next one is 0. Education and training, I left at 1,200. Medical and health, I don't put anything in there. Office data, I left at 500. Dues membership, I left at 1,600. Dues, this next line item is for Sarah. Her dues have actually gone down. They're getting a little bit of cost share through the IN Association, so they're going to actually be able to lower them down from 50 down to 20. So next ones are zeroed out. Getting into the next one, that first one there is basically that's Chris, Lucas, and Sarah's salaries. The increase with that is due to the comp study there too. So this next line item, the 26,601, I raised due to the fact that what we tried last year, one pilot program we tried, we worked with Paul Groof on. I added a seasonal patrol officer. I hired one of the reserve officers to basically help us out patrolling to save some of our comp time and stuff. Basically, he's working about 150 hours for us. We pay him $11 an hour. It figures out to $16.50. The other we have 2 seasonals that come out of there at 40 hours a week, and then our board would like to add another seasonal at part-time seasonal at 3 days a week, just to help out with mowing and I mean, with taking on some of these other grounds that we're getting and the possibility of other stuff that's coming down the pike. We need a little bit more help in the summertime, so we'd like to get back to that where we can add another person at 24 hours a week.
So you don't have that built in here?
Yes, that's
Or
built.
that is built
That
in.
is, that's what the increase is. Yep.
Okay.
The main increase there was basically adding the patrol officer and then the part-time guy. So. That next line item is Lucas Chris's FICA. Next one's our IPERS insurance. The next one is another line item for Sarah. She basically it's $150 to feed her ducks, ducks and other animals that we got. We got snakes, we got turtles, we got frogs, we got ducks, we got Wild Kingdom down there. So. Next one I left at 200. The chemicals, fertilizer, seed left at 400. Plants, shrubs, and trees I dropped down to 500. This next one I increased to 200. Sarah, this is another one. This comes out of our trust fund. Basically, Sarah uses that to. She's been doing a program with the North Cedar schools as far as a prairie project up there. So we're going to probably need to buy some plants and stuff for them. For that project, so I increased it a little bit. Concrete and clay I left at 500. Cover and aggregate I increased that by 2,000 up to 5,000 just for more road rock and stuff to be able to maintain our rocks. And then we got some washouts around the boat ramps and stuff so we can maintain them. Traffic sign I left at 1,000. Wooden lumber I raised to 1,000. With more and more picnic tables and other stuff that we're maintaining, the price of wood doesn't go down, it keeps going up. So that wooden lumber and the next one comes out of the trust fund for Sarah. I left that at 200. Electrical supply parts I left at 1,500. This next one is food and provisions. If Sarah buys anything, that's out of the trust fund. I left that at 400. She buys if she's buying anything for programs or anything like that. This next line item is basically out of the trust fund too. I raised that to 1,200 from 1,000. That's where Sarah basically gets all of her materials and everything for her programs. So that again is out of the trust fund. Custodial supplies with the increase on talking with Matt, some of our garbage bags and everything's going up, so I raised that a little bit. Hardware I left at 1,400. Maintenance operation parts I left at 2,500. Fuels I left at 18,000. Lubricants I left at 600. Tires, tubes I left at 1,600. Minor parts I left at 5. This other one is out of the trust fund. This is where Sarah can buy if she needs to buy a shovel or anything for any of her programs, hand tools and stuff. I left at 100. Medical labs, that's basically our lab for water tests or anything that we need for testing the pumps or wells at the parks. I left at 400. The next one is lab stuff. If Sarah needs anything for that comes out of the trust fund, left that at 100. Recreational supplies, left at 1,000. Safety protecting supplies I raised to 1,500. We got some safety like chainsaw stuff. Our chaps are getting old. Some other stuff that we're going to have to update to replace that for our safety. Audio visual I left at 400. The next one, the engineering services, I left at 0. That 1913 I spent out of there, that was I had to get the bridges inspected on the Hoover Trail this year after the flooding. So I do get some of that money back from FEMA. I think I applied for it anyway, and it sounded like it would go through. So some of that money should come back. Electrical and light I left at 16. That's for office and shop. Bennett Park I left at 3,500. Pioneer I left at 800. Cedar Valley I left at 4,200. Maslin I lowered down to 600 from 650. Red Oak I left at 500. Rochester 500. I increased our shop water. I got a notice from the city that the business that we pay will pay a little more on. They're gonna raise their water rates a little bit. So. Natural LP gas, that's for the shop office. I left at $1,300. Pioneer Park for gas, I left at $500. Motor vehicle equipment, I left at $3,000. Buildings repair and maintenance, I raised to $15,000. And then park, we have two. We're going to redo Red Oak and Cedar Valley number 2 is what we want to do with that. We've got to replace some windows and I think we're going to put metal on the outside is what we had. The contractors that gave us some bids were putting metal on there. The squirrels are chewing through the sidewalls and stuff. But we redid the roofs and everything. They're good shelters yet, but they just need a little bit of updates. So I figured it was cheaper to improve them a little bit than to tear them down and rebuild a new one. So that's where that increase comes from. Plumbing equipment, I left at $3,000. Radio and related equipment, that's going to go to $12,000. That's where I have to buy 2 truck radios and 2 handhelds. None of our stuff is P25 compatible. It's looking like right now. So for 2 truck radios, they're basically about $4,000 a piece. That's $8,000. 2 handhelds are $1,500 a piece at $3,000. So once again, that's just part of doing business, I guess. So. Building rentals went up just for the fact that they raised our rates. We rent outhouses for Bennett, Cedar Valley, Maslin, and then now we provide one down at the dog park down there for West Branch. Machinery and equipment rental, I left at $500. Equipment insurance, I left at $5,600. I raised the sanitary, that's the garbage rates are going up a little bit, and then plus our, to pump out our outhouses and stuff like that have gone up a little bit for gas costs and that, so that reflects that. The next one is zeroed out, the construction maintenance at $40,000. $30,000 of that we have earmarked. This is our park improvement fund that we have. $30,000 of that we're trying to build a new shower house restroom facility over at Bennett. That's our goal there. $10,000 I put in there, that's to help Rob with his skid loader. What we had talked about that morning with Rob. So that's where I put that. I took it out of the park improvement fund, out of that fund there. Motor vehicle, I have $17,000 there. I need to update Sarah's naturalist vehicle. It's got 99,000 miles on it, and it's starting to wear. So
just breaking in.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
What is it?
She's got an Escape right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
it's Ford.
It's you know. Shop equipment, we have some tools that we need to replace and some other bigger items. So I raised that up to $2,000. That brings me to a grand total of $343,549. Then my workman's comp insurance I left at $5,900. Like I said, that could go down or up. I'm not sure. So. Any questions on that part? Like I said, yeah, I mean...
Larry had a question for you.
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
First of all, I've got 5 young grandchildren, and they love Sarah and the program she puts on. In fact, whenever we go bicycle riding in the summer, I ask them where they want to go. Let's go see Sarah. And so we ride out there, and she shows them all the little critters. And so whatever you cut out of this budget, don't cut anything that belongs to Sarah, because that's important. And I was going to comment that last Sunday, I think it was last Sunday, they had the Eagle Scout honor ceremony for Nathan Pike.
Yep.
And for the work he did on the Bennett Park, and that was very interesting, and we were quite proud of the work he did out there and helped you guys.
Yes.
And the help that you guys gave him.
Yep.
So that was a good thing.
Thank you, Larry. Revenue.
Interest on, that's our trust fund, conservation trust fund. I've set it at 400. I lowered it to 200. Yeah, I don't know what, recreational fees, that's if Sarah gets any program fees or anything. I leave it at 200, hoping that we get more in if we keep doing more programs and stuff. That next one, that $1,000, I leave it at $1,000. That's also comes out of the trust fund if we get any donations or anything like camping fees. I've set them at 12,000 with the hopes that we get more in, which we're starting to increase more and more each year. But I just leave it at a more realistical number, and hopefully I go over that. Recreational facility rentals, that's we charge for our shelters, $15 now if anybody uses them. So I left that at 500. We've been getting close to that 500 mark, but now we're already taking in reservations for this coming year. Cedar Valley is about full in August and July already. So more and more people are using them, and so we hope that we get more in that way. So. The next budget that I have is the REAP budget. As you can see, I did not change that at anything. It's still the same number. Basically, that first line item, that $6,400, we hire a summer naturalist assistant for Sarah to help with all the summer programs and stuff. So that way it doesn't take off one of my maintenance guys to go help. We still help her with like the canoeing and that stuff where she might need some different assistance there, but mainly that person helps her do all the programs and stuff like that. Next one is her FICA. Chemicals, grasses are left at 300, fertilizer seed 200, plants at 500. That traffic sign and stuff 4,000. That's where we take out our fencing and that other stuff that we might need to buy a few signs, but most of that comes out of there is the fencing. We can use REAP money for boundaries of our parks. Where that next line item is 200 if Sarah buys any camp shirts or anything like that. Environmental education, audio visuals left at 400. Typing binding at 1,600. That's our newsletter. Postage is for the newsletter that we send out there too. Phone I left at 700. We take Sarah's phone out of that. Environmental training 400. That's for her. Bulldozing, we can, if we want to do, if we need anything for like the fencing, or if we need to do anything in the campgrounds or anything, we can take that out to help. We can use REAP funds to help do that. So I put that at 3,000. Campground construction, if we add any sites or anything like that, I left that at 2,000.
Mike, if you had another 5,000-10,000 REAP, what would you do with it?
I was just asked this question the other day. Basically, we could use a lot of that for just upgrade in the parks. As far as buildings, shower houses and that stuff, we would upgrade our parks to where we can accommodate some of these travel trailers that are bigger, and we're getting more and more people. Add more sites. Right now it's kind of tough to do that. We've always looked at the option of a nature center too, sometime down the line, and a lot of the counties that.
Actually, we're one of the few that don't have one.
Yes.
I think when I went to ISAC, I think there's only like 4 or 5.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were.
Yep. That's one goal that's always stood out with the board. Our board, we've always, when we do our 5-year plan, we always try to figure, how can we get to a nature center? Yeah. So it'd just be a matter of where we could put it and how, what we could do with it. But the REAP funds would definitely help that. So, but.
How much is in your land acquisition improvement fund?
I think right now, John, it is, 58,473.21. And we got that capped at 60.
Right.
Yep. The last item is revenue for REAP. I leave that state grants open. I never put anything there, just with the hope that if something does come open, we can apply for it and get it. I don't want to put anything in there and not get anything. I mean, interest is $200. The next one is empty. The next REAP funds that we get from the state, I leave at $12,000. This year we got $15,407. So they're going back up, but we hope that, like Jeff was saying, that we could be fully funded someday again. You know, so I just put 12,000, knowing that we're probably going to get a little more in there. So it keeps going up each year. So.
Okay, any questions, comments for Don?
Mike, that piece of ground out there, how, I think I called you, because I wanted to make sure I didn't walk on somebody else's property last summer. It's got the barn back there that was on the Underground Railroad.
Yep.
What's the long-term plan for that, or is there one yet? I mean, I know it's going to be an enormous expenditure, whatever.
Yeah. I don't have anything in the long term, I guess yet. I know it's on our agenda, but as far as you know, we just right now it's a public hunting area, and we just try to maintain the trails the best we can for now, and until we have to, you know, we need to do something else out there. But that's where we stand on that. Yeah. So.
That old barn in Farmstead, it's almost haunting back there.
It is, yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back on those Red Oak and Cedar Valley number 2, could that be paid out of that balance?
Yeah. The only reason I didn't take much more out of that was, like I said, a lot of that we tried to. That 30,000 probably isn't going to build our shower house. I'm guessing. I don't know. Once we get a well drilled and all that, I'm not sure where we stand right now. Since I'm over the threshold of weekend campers and how many campsites I got there, I can't go through Phil. I got to go through the state for a permit, so I got to have it engineered. I got to have an engineer. So I'm working with MMS out of Iowa City. So they've been coming over. They got our numbers and campground size, so they're putting together how big a building I need to accommodate it, and drainage system that I need, a septic field. I mean, to be able to put that together. So, but yeah, I'm sure I can probably take. That's the only reason I didn't take it out of there right now, was because of that. I wanted to try to put most of that money towards to get this shower house up and running, I guess. So.
You're meaning most of the balance of the land acquisition and capital improvement.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure till we get an exact number. You know, how big a building and what it's going to cost. I mean, we're Clinton County and them. They have maintenance guys on staff that build all theirs. You know, I don't have that. So I mean, I'm going to have it hired out.
Right.
You know, contractors and stuff. I mean. You know, I don't know what it's going to cost. I mean, where Clinton County's, theirs is cheaper because they can do it all in-house, you know, where they don't have the outside labor, or, you know, a lot of that stuff they can reach out and do it themselves. So, but no, that's definitely an option. I mean, we can definitely look at that. And I knew with the increases with the radios and computers and stuff, I mean, I'm working with Tim there and Brad right now, trying to get. I don't have the computers yet. I didn't have the 13,000 to put 2 computers in. So Brad's helping me out by looking at cheaper avenues right now. We don't do that much law enforcement, but yet we do it enough that we're required to have this equipment. That's just part of it. So not much I can do about it. So.
Okay, any other questions, comments for Albert? Thank you, Mike.
Yep, thank you.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. I do have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
On the state, well, actually, it would be the county park website.
Mhm.
Do we participate in that with, as far as reservations for camp
We,
spots or anything like that?
we don't, because of the fact that we don't actually have pads.
Okay.
We don't have individual sites. I
okay.
mean, we're kind of,
Just
however
pull
the
in
groups
and
want
go.
to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't actually have sites where we could reserve,
I kind of just
reserve.
looked through there and I noticed that
Yep.
we didn't have a very big presence on there, so that's why I was
Yeah,
kind of wondering.
that's the only thing. Yeah, I mean, we've always talked about that where we could probably reconstruct everything and that, but I was kind of handed these down before, so yeah. Till we actually get something changed, no, we can't do that.
Okay.
So.
Well, it was a neat website, so I
Yes,
thought
yep.
we could get our stuff on there. It'd be
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
You bet. Okay, I've got county attorney at 11:15.
You know, on the radios, when you talk about the cost of radios, about $4,000 for a vehicle radio and about $1,500 for a handheld. When we chose our new system, if we had chose a system that some of the other counties went with, the cost for a handheld would have been $9,000, and the base radios would have been $12,000.
Or we'd be doing like Muscatine County replacing them right now.
Yeah, we'd be spending $4.5 to $5 million replacing everything right now if we didn't do what we did.
I wonder if that's part of the federal stimulus program that we all have to buy new radios primarily. That's a hell of a
Go ahead.
I'm gonna run to the restroom quick. We're gonna wait for break for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
In a nutshell, I think our budget is pretty much very little changed from last year, other than just the salary and increases in the FICA and IPERS and things like that. I mean, in fact, there's actually a decrease in one of them because Sterling came off of our insurance. So the general basic criminal prosecutions employee group insurance county share went from $2,750 last year to zero for the next year. But almost everything else is just almost the same as last year. It's just the pay increases and the
And you plugged in everything according to the comp study?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the forfeiture, we're not seeing a lot yet. We don't have any large sums coming in at this time, but we never know. I mean, that could change month to month, so.
Yeah, you never know if somebody, we only get, I think, 10% when they do forfeitures. Everybody else gets their large chunk of it, and even though we do all the work, we get 10%. A lot of the work.
Just keep in mind, you don't have any work if it doesn't get brought in.
We did just forfeit a TV, which the Tipton PD is going to keep for training purposes. I've contacted the state regarding that, and then they also had a PS4, which we are going to have to sell at auction, and then that money will go to the state. So we might get maybe $30 from that one.
How long does it take in the process from the time the forfeiture comes in until you actually have money in hand?
Shelley does handles the forfeitures there, so.
It depends. If we have to sell things, obviously that takes longer. But if it's just cash that comes in, we have 90 days from the date that it's seized, and then they have That's to file our paperwork, our petition. They have 20 days then to file any claim that they may have. Then we go to hearing. We have to file a hearing within 30 days from that time. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. Usually 6 months or less, that if we go through the whole process. If there's no claim made, then it doesn't take long at all. But
That forfeiture money can only be used for certain things, though?
for a prosecution, it can, I know we have to check with the state when we, if we need to. Like we've given some for that ATV to help county. That was for the law enforcement too. We put some money towards that. Seems like we did something upstairs in the courtroom. Did we buy something up there? Or did we buy, I think we bought like maybe some equipment so that we could project things up on the walls, things like that.
Yeah, for stuff like that.
But it's for prosecution type things or for law enforcement.
And we, sometimes we get requests from various departments. Some law enforcement department wants us to buy them something, but we don't do that unless it's something that everybody can use. And we don't, like I said, we don't have much forfeiture, so we kind of like to keep it for a time that we may need it. I mean, we're spending a little bit right now on a special case where we have a big trial coming up, and there's an out-of-state witness that is basically homeless, and we're helping. We're going to provide some transportation for him to come back up here and stuff like that. But provided him with a cell phone so we wouldn't lose contact with him. But he's a very, very important witness in a big case, and we're using some of the forfeiture money for that. The Iowa County Attorneys Association, they're going to have an additional $100 coming up. I think is it next year?
Yeah, we've already.
Yeah. So that's a pretty small increase because they haven't had any increases in at least 10 or 20 years.
We were covered for that. So.
Yeah, so we're covered for that.
When are they going to have their annual meeting next year? Okoboji again?
Unless I can find somewhere nicer. No. The fall conference, sometimes they hold it up at Dubuque at that water park. What's that called? Right along the river. Yeah. That's the favorite place for the attorneys that like to go up there for the fall conference. One time it was when I went when Sterling was here. They held it at the casino in Council Bluffs. That was terrible. That was a dump.
That's the Indian casino out there.
Well, no, it was no, it wasn't. No, it was in Council Bluffs. There's a big casino at virtually all the license plates are Nebraska license plates in the parking lot. But I think Nebraska now is going to try and get gambling too. They don't like to see all that money cross the Missouri River. But if you have any questions about anything, I think you can see a lot of it is pretty much even sometimes the same amounts from last year.
How's the electronic law library? Everybody, you used to it? Or your electronic, I'm sorry, not the library, the electronic filing and paperless?
We start next week.
Next week.
With training, yeah. So we'll be going live February 24th, I believe.
Okay.
So ask us in March.
All right.
And then, really the attorneys don't have to deal with it as much as everybody else. You think but the amount of training and the knowledge that Shelley and Janellis had to do is tremendous. And then I think the law enforcement will have to do quite a bit too when they enter it on their track system, and then it comes in on the EDMS. They're going to do a lot of work, but right now I haven't seen a whole lot of extra work that I've had to do, but I don't know if that's going to change. But it's interesting. We're all set up. We have the Pro Law software. We're using that regularly now, and if you go upstairs to see the clerks are even closing for a couple days. Closing, they're going to be down totally because they're bringing in people to train the clerks upstairs on it. Because that's, of course, it's critical that they know all that stuff too. But they're actually going to have a couple days where I think they'll be closed for an entire day, or at least for an afternoon or a morning.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or anything? Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe your life
I can't even use the one I got.
Are we gonna ask Jeff to check into the whole recruiters merger situation?
Did Julie come up with that?
On the
I
legalities
think
of
she's gonna
that?
talk, wasn't she? I think she said she's gonna have to talk to Jeff.
She was? Okay.
That's what she said. Well, that's what she said when she
Didn't
left.
Melissa say she was gonna check with Jeff on it?
The lawsuit thing, it was in the email this morning she had.
Okay.
Jeff couldn't find anything out on it, any information.
Because I hadn't had a chance to read through that yet. Give an update. It's a short one.
They must have changed the.
145, but it comes early for it.
The wages on the assistant county attorney.
I wonder if that wasn't part of the.
We need to find that because that doesn't jive with what's on.
And you asked her?
I asked.
Yeah, I heard you asked her.
And she said we found it.
Well, I'll buzz you when
And
you
that's
come
not
down.
what the initial was. She must have got
She
changed.
will come up. She wants to know when you come down. I said you might take him.
I can go ask Carrie.
Yeah, I could have double check.
We got a few minutes anyway.
So when he comes, no, she said he's new. She's met him, but he's new.
You don't think I'm at that?
Oh, I know you know that. You don't see it coming in. I got my work car parked in the grass, so that's all right. I tried to get off of 18 here to get on their own.
Which one?
So I can get rid of that charge.
Trying to do what?
Oh, was it? Did it make sense?
I had nobody assigned to that car.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
Since they've been
I
married,
could you yesterday,
I
but
got
about
her insurance.
8 or 9 Wall Street Journal, New
And
York
after you
Times.
do that, so you
down-
have
I mean,
this
it's just
car.
absolutely
You don't want
crazy.
to do that.
It was about
Huh?
the Bush call.
Yes,
and
I do.
call from Jeb Bush. Let me tell you, it was on the front page of my register. And I'd call.
Hmm?
Just
He's already got a
stunned
car.
that people.
And then we're trying to figure out
Well, let's see.
how we can
If
get
he's
out of here.
exploring the option
Shut
of
our
running,
phones
I'm
off,
sure
save
you're
the
going to
rest
get a
for
call.
more money.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking.
It's kind of like Chris.
You could forget
Yeah,
that.
it just doesn't, I don't know, it's just weird to me. I never expected this.
You could forget
I
that.
really didn't.
So you
It
have
takes
any
a lot of
Plus
time.
Hair plus ones?
I got an email this morning, that
I have
Perry's
Hair
gonna be,
Hair plus with your kids?
For college? No, I think
Perry from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting down, but I run a check every semester for about 10 grand.
It's just, it's not gonna, I mean, it's just the amount of activity is going to, on the Saturday, a bunch of them are coming to Des Moines.
Because you got it.
I said, oh, I had a bunch of people from around the country want to talk. I says, okay, well, let's have a dinner, I'll go up on Friday night. Got 34 reporters from 9 different states gathering to just have a conversation.
Was that program you have to buy?
It's just,
Yeah, they made it go up.
you know, because the old folks would have taught, you know, the two before me, they would never talk to the press. Well, I probably talked too much.
Well,
because I-
this is the other thing, if we really.
Yeah, you gotta be careful, because they take things up.
Yeah.
And it will happen. I'm just gonna get,
Yeah.
I know everybody's watching and looking for it. And I've been told, actually, when I ran again, I says, I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna make 2 or 3.
Absolutely not. It's
I'm gonna
just
say
newer
something I
money.
shouldn't.
I'll tell you right now,
Get
they
ready
went
for it,
through
folks.
Well,
everything on
that's
Monday.
like, you know, I know a lot of people are in favor of straw poll. I think it's the biggest waste of time. I think it's too early. I think you're
I'm
gonna
not a
have the
big-
right wingers out there that are gonna.
Blew my mind.
I'm not a
when I
big
saw
fan of
the
this.
O and plus we need to check
So it's kind of one of those you just
taking
go,
care of
really?
that.
I'm not a big
Because
fan
the
of it either.
interest each
Really
other.
not.
Because then it just makes us look like we can't pick them. Because by the time you get to caucus, it's somebody totally different.
Yep. I agree with you. All we can hope is I can replace Christine who's to come, and I've talked to them both, so. They're actually, very good to talk to. I actually kind of.
You'll have to see those.
If you saw him in person, did you really talk to him in person?
He looked pretty humble when he walked in at inauguration, and that was kind of a big old snafu when they announced that the whole party's coming in, and then in walks Chris Christian and Secret Service.
Yeah.
I see Monica Vernon's
You'll make
run against
Yeah, we've been, we put out a couple of press releases to get her, but Jack Culver's thinking about it. Jack Culver.
We're running,
I would be. He's,
I can't even believe they'd even get him the money.
I can't imagine all day yesterday. Never know.
Yeah, I guess Dad Vernon, when I ran for state representative in Osterburg, at the time Bill Vernon was.
Yeah.
He was the chairman or vice chairman.
I don't know how that happened, but she was too. She was so good. She used to give to me.
You're next.
Oh, she's turned, absolutely she has. I don't know what's pushed that.
Support?
Maybe the social issues, I don't know.
Yeah.
How's Bobby doing?
Good.
John told me.
Put up her certificate.
She what?
I told him, put up her certificate.
Looks like this community action
I should get her
call's gonna
framed
take a
that.
little while. This is the packet.
Jeez.
Can that be something I brought in?
That guy did get
small
some good
one I had
news.
like that?
It's fine. I asked him, I says, do you have a problem with me giving the board updates? And he did. And his wife, they seem to have stopped the growth for a while.
What kind did you?
Okay, if you folks want to come up front up here.
Oh, us? Got it too late.
I know I've seen the gal in the center there before, but the other two I haven't.
You want to sit down? Okay. More casual?
So if you want to introduce yourself and then
Okay.
we'll introduce ourselves.
Oh, we're from Crossroads in Muscatine. We're the organization that's managing CEO here in town, and I'm executive director. This is Randy Russell, our sales manager. Kathy Moore, our day hab manager.
And you know Julie back there.
We
do know
Julie.
Julie.
We know her too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want us to just talk a little bit about what we do. One of the things we want to talk about today was our new day hab program. And Kathy is the day hab manager and has started that, and I'll just let you go.
Okay, the Dehabilitation Program is a program that assists folks in daily living skills, social integration, community integration. We do a lot of crafts that aid in fine motor skills, things like that, music appreciation, exercise, a lot of those kinds of activities. And so we have started the new program at CEO. It's called Connections. We're currently open 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We started with 4 individuals, now we have 6. And so we're very excited about the program. We're doing field trips into the community. So far we've definitely gone to the Tipton Bakery. The Friends of the Animal Shelter, we took a field trip there. So there's 2 of the field trips that we've enjoyed so far, and so I'm looking forward to scheduling a lot more of those and getting folks out in the community. We're blessed to have a van that we can use for transportation and things like that. The library is another field trip we have set up yet this month. We were just over there. They were making apple trifles and doing some healthy snacks and that kind of thing.
So we kind of worked with case management as they gave us ideas on places that we might go to in Cedar County. We actually came up with a whole blackboard full of ideas. So lots on the agenda.
Exactly.
You say there's 6 now in there?
Yes.
What's your capacity? I mean, have you got a limit on it, or?
We don't right now. Basically, we have a lot of nice space available, and we're utilizing quite a bit of it, just spreading out and enjoying right now. So we have definitely room for more folks, and really looking forward to expanding the program as we know what needs to meet for folks.
We're in the alternative school space that, if you've been in that area where they use for the alternative school. So it's nice and big. It's actually
is.
larger than the space we have in Muscatine.
It is, and that makes it so nice because we have one classroom that opens up into another one, and so we have the tables on one side and such, and on the other side we're starting an indoor garden. They go in there and do exercise classes, and like the other day they were playing kickball and kicking the ball into goals and things like that, and so it's really nice because we can expand and do these different activities. So.
Now, are all your clients Tifton residents right now, or are you going to try and expand out in the whole county? Or?
Yes, that's our plan, most definitely. Yes. Case management has been very helpful in letting us know when staffings are happening so that we can attend staffings and offer our services to any folks that might be interested. Of course, we really look for word of mouth for folks to, tell family members about it and things like that. We're very happy to do tours. So anytime that you may want to stop in and just kind of see what's going on, we love an opportunity to, show folks around and so.
Might want to call first because we might be out on a.
Well, we could be on an outing or something. Yeah.
And you probably all know that it's HCBS funded. I don't know how much you know about that, but this isn't a county funded like the workshop side is. This is HCBS, and so one of their big pushes is to get people in the community integration. So we're going to do more of that.
Exactly.
So, questions about any of that?
How's the arrangement going with Kirkwood down there? They still own the building, right?
Yeah, we still are using the building. We don't really communicate too much with them. They're off doing their thing now, and we're doing this. So
for the most part, they're out of it.
Yeah, they've pretty much walked away. So it's not our building, but yeah.
Good. And it's working out good for you folks too that way, huh?
It is. We need more work. I mean, that's something we definitely still need more. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, or if anybody'd like to come and tour our Muscatine facility to see the kinds of skills that we have.
Capabilities.
Because I'd say the capabilities are pretty similar in this facility.
I would say that too.
Yeah. So we do some light machine work down there and a whole lot of assembly packaging.
Light assembly packaging, that type of stuff.
I have a question just because I was familiar with your program down in Muscatine when I worked down there. Do you have mainly more mentally challenged, or do you have some that are more in the autism spectrum? Do you take both, or what?
We are able to offer services to folks of all different diagnoses and levels of abilities. So.
Pretty wide range.
It really is,
Pretty wide ranging.
We have 88 somewhere round numbers in Muscatine. So, and about 33 here.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You got 33 inch wide down here? Oh yeah? That's more than there was before, wasn't it?
I think it's about the same.
About the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many of the staff that were here before are still there?
None.
None?
Yeah.
You brought in all your own staff?
Yeah.
So those people drive back and forth every day?
They do. Yeah, currently.
So were they overstaffed down there, or did you move them up here and hire more down there? Or?
Speaking for the day hab side, that is a brand new program, so we've hired new staff.
Brand new staff.
And so we offered the training at the main building and then had the staff come up here after that. And so, again, brand new program, new staff, and so the production side of things.
Well, the production side, one of the reasons behind that is continuity. We want to do it the same way in both places, and they were doing it substantially differently. So that was really the thought behind bringing people. Because I don't imagine, I suppose long term, any openings you'd want to fill with Tifton people. So
yes,
for obvious reasons.
So So like right now, we do have an opening for a day hab assistant, and we have advertised for that in the Tipton Conservative and, you know, local papers online as well. That way, because we would really like to get local folks. I think that then, you know, there's more knowledge of the community, people know people, things like that, you know, and so I think that families are able to offer a lot knowing each other, so.
And that's all you're really involved in here in Cedar County as a CEO down there?
We have a house.
So
We
you
have
got
the Arc
house down
Cedar home.
Second
Right,
Street?
right.
Okay.
And we have 4 in there
Yes.
right now. So.
And you can take what, up to 6 then?
5.
5?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say 5.
We had 5 and 1 left and moved to Iowa City.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
You guys got anything to add?
We're just working really hard to make it successful on both ends, and anything that you could do to assist would be welcomed, or if you have questions or anything, contact us.
Okay.
We're looking for more day hab people, we're looking for more industrial work, so.
Right.
And see anything, think of us. What I would add is many times people don't realize the capabilities we do have. We're probably more far-reaching than most people think. We're able to do more.
Well, I will have to say that in my experience of using some of your clients, they were actually more reliable than some of the other people that we hired.
That's very
and
true.
they were definitely more conscientious.
Yeah, they're very prideful. They
Yes.
take a lot of pride in their work.
Yeah.
They
To
want
say
to do
that.
a good job. That is true. Very true.
And I did bring like daily schedules, monthly calendars, things like that. If anyone would like any of those handouts to be able to, you know, have available to show folks that might be interested, I'd be happy to leave some of those here as well.
That'd be great. The thing you might want to advertise as far as Tipton goes here, you know, we got our own utilities here in town, the city does, and they put out, you know, they send a bill every month. You could put an insert in their billing too, you know, that you get the rehab, that they have going to that too, you know.
Okay.
If they have any clients, and kind of explain it in there.
I know where that is because I've been in there.
Have you?
Yeah. Go down to City Hall
That's
down
very
there.
helpful, yes.
Well, a lot of times they'll put an insert right inside their billing for you, so.
Yeah, that would be great.
And the other thing is some communities have their own newsletters that go out to the entire school district. And if you wanted to put a little bit about Crossroads in there, do a little story, like News and Views in Durant goes to the entire Durant school district, and it's free of charge. And if you wanted to do a local story, they could put that in there, or a news release, and they could put that in there. And that would get out to, you know, the entire school district. I don't know if West Branch has anything like that. I'm sure there's other communities that have them too, but that's a very good way to get information out.
Okay. We are preparing for a transition fair again this spring, and planning on April, and basically that's to work with the kids who are getting ready to graduate from the transition program, and to get the teachers aware that we're here, what we do. Probably, what do we have, 10 different providers?
Yes, last
year. We hold it at the high school. So we're planning to do that again, and we could certainly bring the invitation up this direction for your teachers to come and get involved and be a part of that.
Exactly. And what we did when we coordinated that is we tried to look at all of the services available that folks would need, looking at the, you know, the housing, looking at vocational, rehabilitation, case management, and so we brought vocational rehabilitation, and we brought all of these providers together so that they would all be in one room, so a family could come in and they could go to different tables and see what services might be beneficial to them. Maybe some would be available that they didn't know about. Maybe they had questions about how to pay for these things. Case management would be available, and they could sit down and have a private conversation. It just really made it very nice for families to have that.
We had transportation
learning
providers
time.
there as well,
Yes,
so they could talk to them.
Right.
So just trying to make it easier for people, make them aware. So anyway, don't have the date set on that, but we'll try to be in touch with the school system when we get that. And we have a board member who is in touch with some folks in this area and in Durant as well. So.
Thank you.
We're fine. Okay, any more questions, comments? Julie, you have anything to add? Okay. Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. And here are the calendars and the
Okay.
information. I've also included business cards so you have our number to be able to
Okay,
reach
thank you.
us. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Yes.
Well, that's all we have until 1 o'clock, so.
Yes, I did. That's
Break for lunch and be back here at 1 o'clock, we'll go back to session.
I'll be here talking on the phone.
Whatever you wanna do, Wayne.
Then I'm like, how do I get back to
Go down to eat.